Hi, I'm Tom for Waterwise Botanicals, and we're going to talk about landscape roses today. What's a landscape rose? Do you have any idea, Julie?
No, I don't.
Well, a landscape rose is what we kind of consider to be just a bush that flowers, and you can't make it stop flowering. Yes, granted, it's in the rose family, but I mean, just so beautiful. There's no other bushes that you can plant that just flower so much and with so little care. What time of year is it right now, Julie?
It's winter, December.
Right, winter. And the stupid thing is just blooming its head off, right? In fact, if you were to come to our nursery right now, our rose section is just like a field of flowers. It's insane. And we're in the middle of December, right? So, like I said, there's the landscape varieties of roses that we grow and specialize in bloom literally almost year round and with little to no special care. But what we do want to go over today is some planting of the roses, because there's a couple of steps in the technique that will make it much more successful for you and provide for the needs of roses that's a little bit different than other plants. This particular variety is our variety called Pink Cadillac, and Pink Cadillac is our own. It's my own hybrid. You can't get this rose anywhere else in the world unless perhaps the nursery bought it from us, but it's a year-round blooming rose, and that's about as tall as it gets. It's just a beautiful mid-sized rose, and you don't give it any care except to maybe whack it back a couple of times a year to just freshen it up. That's all. But we're here right in the middle of December, and we're going to show you how to plant a rose in a way that makes it easy for you. So the first thing I'm going to do is, of course, dig the hole. And we're going to just dig the hole the same size as the root ball. And so when I do that, what we're actually going to do is dig the hole just a little bit deeper, because we want to have some extra room to have the spot where we plant the plant have kind of a basin where it'll hold water, and that water can then soak in to the root ball of the rose. And the reason that is because roses are thirsty plants, and they're little water pumps. They'll pump water through those roots out of the root ball just like in a matter of a couple of days. And even though the surrounding soil may be moist or wet, the roots in the root ball can't get any moisture because it's bone dry, and they haven't grown new roots to the outside yet and filled out. So here we are. We've got a hole that's about the same size as the root ball, and now this is how you take the plant out of the pot. This is a real easy way. Just turn it upside down, give it a little bit of a shake, and drop it in the hole. Now here's the important part. When I plant this rose, if you look in kind of close, Julie, I like to have the soil come up right to the same height as it was in the root ball. I don't ever want to see any roots sticking out. You know, in days gone by, it was actually taught to landscape contractors that you're supposed to high plant shrubs, literally with the root ball up above the surrounding grade. And there were reasons behind it. I guess they thought that way it would avoid being planted too deep, which is usually not that big of a problem, or also because they were anticipating mulching. And so they'd say, well, we're going to plant it high because then we're going to put in 3 or 4 inches of mulch. Don't do that. That is really the most damaging thing you can do to a rose, because within a matter of just a month or two, those roots are exposed up at the base of the stem of the plant, and it doesn't like it. Okay, so once we got it in place, we're going to have it at a slightly lower level than what the existing soil was. And we put in some soil around it, and you'll notice I'm not fussing and fooling around a lot, you know, trying to tuck it in with my hands and everything like that. It's no big deal. In fact, that's all the time I'm going to spend putting the soil around the root ball. Now I can just come back with a hose and give it a good deep watering and just, you know, soak that soil in around the root ball. But that's no problem. You don't have to sit there and tuck and make sure there's no air gaps or anything like that. You saw basically all I did was just scooch a little bit of soil in there. But ultimately, I've now left this basin, see, with an edge of soil around it. So Julie, when that rose drinks the water out of the root ball and it's bone dry in a day or two, it can't get water from the surrounding moist soil. It'll just get dry within the moist soil, and the plant will really suffer and struggle a lot. This way, when you plant it, you can water straight down. Either sprinklers can accumulate water in the basin, or you can hand water for just the first week, a couple of weeks. By then, within 2 weeks or 3 weeks, this plant will have all brand new fresh roots out into the soil, and it can gain the moisture that's in the surrounding soil. So that's really the key on planting a rose. I think that looked pretty easy, right?
That was very easy.
It's there's a lot less to it, and you don't really, roses are a plant. I dug a hole just the size of the root ball. You saw that I didn't do a lot to amend the soil. That's also unnecessary. If you want really good rich soil for your rose, plant your rose in whatever soil you have. Dig a hole about the same size as the root ball, and then after you're all done, then put a nice layer of mulch on top. That's going to keep the soil moist. It starts changing the soil itself. The soil becomes richer and richer just because of the mulch being on top. And then roses need, if they ever struggle for anything in the way of fertilizer, they do get low on nitrogen fertilizer, and they'll get really slow, poor color, and not that many flowers. So as a homeowner, you can simply add lawn fertilizer, maybe once every 2 or 3 months. Don't put it in a pile or a ring around the plant. You can burn it, but just kind of sprinkle it in the area, about as heavy as a cowboy with salt and pepper is shake, which is kind of, like medium. And then water it in right away a couple of times the same day. Water that fertilizer into the soil, because the rose's roots will go out 3 feet or more, when it gets established. And so it'll gain those nutrients. And with that nitrogen, then you'll get a very shiny, vivacious leaves and plenty of flowers pretty much all year round. So our landscape roses, that's all we do. We don't even ever spray them, not for aphids. If aphids ever do get on them, they seem to come and go in a matter of like 2 or 3 weeks. I think they have a timeshare or something, and that's all they get to stay. We don't spray for anything. You just think of them as a bush that flowers nonstop throughout the year. But this is the one thing that will really help out, and especially, like I say, commercial guys for a lot of years were taught this crazy high planting theory, and it's not good, and especially not good for roses. No roots above ground. In fact, make a nice depression in the soil, a basin, so that it can accumulate water for that first 2 or 4 weeks until its roots get into the outside surrounding soil, and then mulch. It's that simple. And of course, you like rose flowers, Julie. This bud's for you. I'm Tom for WaterWiseBotanicals.com.
Thank you, Tom. And if you have any questions about your plants or your roses, if you need Tom's advice, please feel free to write a comment under this YouTube video, and we'll be happy to answer any of your questions. Until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.